Joining us, a wonderful, wonderful pairing for your Friday wine flight. And we have with us today Matthew Hennessy joins us. He's the Deputy Opinion Editor for the Wall Street Journal editorial page, author of the book 0 Hour for the Gen X, and also Marlena Shivo joins us. She's a writer, satirist, media commentator, and both of these people have a hell of a lot more experience doing this type of stuff than Frank and I. And I want to thank you guys for joining us and adding your wit and fantastic ideas to our show. So we do a lot of bar-themed stuff here on the show. I like to say in this segment when we have two people and they just battle it out a little bit over different points of view, we shake it up. So we're going to shake it up. I'm going to throw the topic out there. I'm going to go to you first, Marlena, but there's all this news. We had yesterday we had Nia Gupta on. She's the author of the book College Shortcuts, talking about the whole scoring and college, the scandal with the 50 millionaires. Right. Adversity on scoring on SATs. What say you?
I'm actually for it because, you know, not a lot of people are good test takers. And I also think that, you know, if you can get a student who, you know, comes from a different background and has risen up through maybe some adversity, and you can count that in toward, you know, their character, I think that says a lot. I think you should, there's a lot of factors that go into going into college, right?
But so what about the good old days? What about, Matt, the good old days when, you know, there was 1,600 points out there, and, you know, if you got an 1,100, you went to these type of schools. If you got a 1,500, you went. You got what about, you know, quantitative scoring? That's kind of a measure.
Yeah, those days are gone, unfortunately. I'm going to have to say that I'm against it. I don't know if that's the format here.
No, you don't have to say anything, but
I'm against it on principle, if only because this is like the last thing that parents need. One more crazy algorithm you have to figure out, the system you have to try and game. I think that, you know, when I look at the way they set this thing up, or at least the way it seems like they set it up, it seems like it's really going to disadvantage the people in the middle. It's going to help kids who are in bad neighborhoods maybe shine a little brighter than they did. It's not really going to have any effect, as most things, most of these little policy tweaks have, on the rich and the so-called privileged, because they're going to be able to continue doing what they're doing. And the kids in the middle who come from families that have worked hard to sacrifice to move into a nicer neighborhood are going to be penalized for that. Or if their parents are sacrificed to send them to a private school, apparently, according to this new system, they're going to be penalized in a way. So I think it's like, you know, this is just, underneath it all, actually, the principle that I'm worried about is like, what kind of a country do we want to live in? Do we want to live in this country where every day your kid wakes up in the morning and gets this message that the system is rigged, that there's no way you can overcome your circumstances? And in fact, we've got a numerical formula standing by to prove that. So just sit back, wait till you get your score, and everything will be okay. Or do we want to live in a country where they say you can actually make it, you know, rise above your circumstances if you keep your nose clean and you work hard?
Marlena, I have two daughters. One's in college. My daughter Victoria is 20. She's in Wagner College right here in New York. My other daughter's a junior in high school. Ava, she's 17. I have a son also. He's not in college yet. But when I'm going to these college admissions consultants and talking about all this stuff, to me it seems like if you're a white middle to upper middle class kid, you're almost disenfranchised now. There's less and less spots because they're making diversity count in all these other places. And it used to be get a great score, have a great GPA, and you can go to the college you want. Now there's kind of all these other determinations in there. I'm seeing it myself.
I know, but it was not only about SAT scores. In the past, even when I was going to college, you had to have extracurricular activities and you had to prove you were in a club, and that wasn't necessarily all honest stuff either. I mean, people could join the Spanish club and go to one meeting and say they were in the Spanish club. I mean, there's lots of loopholes along the way. I think that when you throw in the word diversity, there's a lot of people jump on it because you saw this with affirmative action, but it's kind of the same thing. I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's going to change the game as much as you think it's going to change the game. I don't think the middle is going to be as affected as you think it is.
I tell you what's really going on here. These schools are all worried that in the next couple of years the Supreme Court is going to say you can't use race in admissions decisions anymore. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they were putting pressure on the College Board, hey, give us another way that we can sort of create the class
It's like the
that we want.
it's like the diversity matrix.
Yeah.
Give
then
us
they can
another way.
They can wash their hands and say, hey, we're just going by what the algorithm says.
Yeah,
It's totally,
subjectivity. That's what's happening here on our shores, okay? And we're going to keep our audience on this college stuff because it's affecting families across all spectrums, from low income even to upper, because college tuitions are getting out of hand. But out internationally, it looks like there's a lot of saber rattling going on. Are we going to war with Iran?
I think we probably won't. It seems like something mysterious is happening. There seems to be some disagreement about exactly what it is. There's some factions in the White House that were very worried about some satellite images they saw. It's a little bit like the Cuban Missile Crisis all over again. They saw the Iranians loading some missiles onto some ships in the Persian Gulf. They extrapolated that this could end up being a way for them to attack American ships or American vessels in the water. And they started mobilizing a potential response to this. This guy here had allegedly put the brakes on that. That was in the paper today. Does not want to go, has told his generals and his security advisors doesn't want to do this. So I think ultimately we'll find a way out of it. Seems like there's Secretary Pompeo is opening back channels through the Swiss to get to the Iranians to get some answers as to what exactly they're doing out there with their missiles.
Marlena, do you think John Bolton was doing a little too much of a land grab, like trying to start wars all over the place? And North Korea hates him. It seems like Iran hates him. Russia hates him. Are we going to war in your view or no?
No, I agree with him. I don't think we're going to war. Trump doesn't want to go to war. He said it over and over again. And I would be shocked to see if he changed his mind, because that is the one thing that he has that is favorable from the Democratic side, right? And now we're going into a new election, and I can't imagine that he's going to go back on that. And he also has said that he wants to keep the money here. He doesn't want to spend it on a foreign.
He keeps talking about we need borders. We need to protect our homeland. And I love all of his economic policies. I hate some of his tweeting sometimes because I think he steps on his own message with some crazy tweets. But one of the things I liked about was, kind of this Rand Paul approach. Let's stop sending money and troops and everything around the world. Let's get them back here and make America great. As a sentence, not as a slogan on a hat.
Well, that's fine when you're Rand Paul and you don't have any responsibility. But when you're sitting in the chair, sometimes events get out in front of you. I don't think we will go to war with Iran unless Iran asks for it. And if they do, which it seems like maybe they are, then they're going to get what they wanted.
Do they say like, "Thank you, sir, may I have another"? Like, well, ask for it like that. Come on down. The price is right. So, guys, before we get, ladies and gentlemen, before we get out of this segment, Bill de Blasio announced he's the 23rd or 24th or 2500th grade. It looks like it's right now Biden-Trump. Just give me your thoughts on 2020. What do you see shaking out?
I see the threat to Joe Biden getting the nomination not coming from Bill de Blasio, but coming from Bernie Sanders. I think there's a real chance that fight could linger like it did the last time. I don't see Bernie as the kind of guy who's going to walk away when all of the money is telling him he should do that. He's going to stay to the bitter end. It could end up being really ugly. I kind of think that the Democratic convention is going to be a lot more like 1968 than it was like 2008. I think the left, the progressive left, is going to make Joe Biden's life miserable for the next 12 months, and how he responds to that challenge is going to sort of decide the election. Or decide the nomination. That's how I see it.
What do you think, Marlena?
What do I think about de Blasio running, or what do I think about?
What do you think is going to shake out?
I mean, well, first of all, I think that we have a lot of time, and I think that de Blasio definitely should not run. I don't even think he has.
Hold that thought,
yes.
Because we don't have a lot of time in this segment. We're going to keep these guests right here. We're shaking it up, as we always do. Great panelists, Matthew Hennessy from the Wall Street Journal, Marlena Shivo. We're bringing them right back after this. You stay right there, watch these commercials so our sponsors make a few bucks and we can stay on air. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. Back right after this.